So what is going on, my fellow collectors? How is everybody doing today? Daredevil19 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Bandai Tamashii Nation's SH Figuarts web exclusive Spider-Man Homecoming homemade Spider-Man suit. So let's get into it right away and start off with the box. So we do get a basic style box for the SH Figuarts Marvel line. We don't get a window on the front of the box because of course it is a web exclusive. On the top says SH Figuarts, and we do get a nice image of the Spider-Man figures, says Spider-Man homemade suit version, Marvel Spider-Man Homecoming, Tamashii Nations, and Bandai. And then here's the bottom of the box with the blah 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 stuff nobody cares about, but I do like that miniature image of the Spider-Man figure. And then here's the top of the box. And then the one side of it with a nice image of the figure with the hood on there. And then here is the other side of the box. And then the back of it does show a few poses you can get the figure into, along with some of the accessories. But anyway, that is the packaging. Let's get this figure up and take a closer look at this homemade Spider-Man suit. Already taking a closer detail look, and I think Tamashii Nations did a really nice job with this homemade suit Spider-Man figure. The head sculpt I think turned out pretty good. It does look like someone is wearing like a ski mask type mask there. And I do like the way the eyes look. The paint for the white, I believe the white is painted. Nice clean paint where the white meets the black. And I do like the way the eyes look. You can tell that looks like he's wearing like goggles or something under there. And I do like how you can see the sculpted seam on the neck running up the mask and then up the top of his head and then down the back of his head and this neck right there. And the sculpted wrinkles really look great on the back of the head and neck there. And one minor issue I've noticed with the figure, I do see paint bleeding here and there, like there's some black paint on the back of his mask. I noticed it mostly on his hands and then on his calves, and I'll show you guys that a little bit later. And then we do get his hood, which is a separate piece. It just pegs into the back of Spider-Man. They did a good job with the hood, nice sculpted wrinkles on it. It does look like a hood is just resting on his shoulders there, so I like the way that turned out. And then for his shirt here, oh yeah, one complaint, my main personal complaint about this figure is there's no shading at all on this figure, and it just makes it look really bland, you know what I mean? I don't know why they don't add more paint shading on some figures. I mean, they've been adding it more on the DBZ figures and other figures, but they're not doing it with certain figures, and it just doesn't make sense to me, you know what I mean? The torso I think turned out good. The spider symbol, the paint on that looks great. Same for the zipper. You can even see the zipper tab on the top right there. And nice tiny sculpt detail on the zipper. And we do see some sculpted wrinkles here and there throughout his hoodie, like around his shoulders right there on these pieces that hide the joint. You can see the pocket sculpted on the front there. Not a big fan of this piece here. It's kind of similar to the tech suit Spider-Man, but I guess they couldn't figure out another way to make his hoodie a little bit longer, but they did a good job sculpting out some sculpted wrinkles. And then there is the back, a few sculpted wrinkles on there, looking pretty good. Like I said, this figure just really would have looked so much better with some shading added on it. And then for the sleeves here, beautiful sculpted wrinkles all throughout it. And then they did do some sculpt work on the elbow joints as well. And my favorite thing about this Spider-Man is his web shooters. These things look so sick. The tiny sculpt detail and the paintwork just turned out fantastic on these. Nice clean paint all throughout it. And then it does continue on to all of his hands right there, which is really cool looking. So that is definitely my favorite part about this figure here. Now for the legs, you can see the tie for his sweatpants I guess he's wearing. And we do get some nice sculpted wrinkles all throughout the pants, especially right below the knees and on the knees. You can see the seams on the inside of the legs there and on the outside as well. We get some more sculpted wrinkles on the back, not as much compared to on the front there. And then the paint gets a little sloppy where the red meets the black. As you can see, I have blue paint spots like all over the red sock there, and there's some red paint on the blue up there. So a little bit of sloppy paint work. It's not horrible, but it is something that is noticeable if you are an import collector. And then the baseball looking socks here I think turned out great. They put a bunch of sculpted lines all throughout it. It looks like the sock is folded up on the top there. That turned out really good. And then for the feet here, we do get some nice sculpt work all throughout it. And the paint's pretty clean where the red meets the black for the soles there. And then the bottom of them, not much going on, but overall I think they really did an outstanding job with the detail on this homemade suit Spider-Man. My main issue though is there is not any paint shading at all, which is pretty disappointing to me, and I feel like that would have made this figure stand out that much more if they added a little bit of paint shading. But anyway, let's continue on. Moving on to the accessories, we pretty much get the same stuff that we got with the tech suit Spider-Man that we get with this homemade suit Spider-Man. So we do get two different hoods. We get the hood up on the left and the hood down on the right. We already took a look at the hood down on the right. It does have a peg right there which pegs into the back of Spider-Man, and when you want to get it around his neck, just widen that a little bit and it'll slide right through his neck. It's really simple to get that on. Then we do get the hood up one, which is definitely my favorite out of the two. Beautiful sculpted wrinkles all throughout. It does look like an actual hood. I just feel like his head went a little more deeper in it. I would have liked if you can get his head a little bit further in the back of the hood, because it does stick out a little bit. I mean, it's not that bad though. That's just my own personal opinion, but it does look really cool once you have it on the figure, and that's how I will have this Spider-Man displayed. So we do get the two different hoods, and then we do get this peg here, and this is the same thing we got with the tech suit Spider-Man. All you do is just take this piece off. I would say use like a tiny screwdriver and just pop that right off, and then you could pop this piece in, and then this pegs right into a stand, but you get pegged that right into a stand as well. And if you were curious, the backpack you get with the tech suit Spider-Man, you can use it on this Spider-Man as well. So we do get that little extra peg there. And then we also get 3 different webs. So we do get 2 of the same webs that we got with the tech suit Spider-Man, and then the other web is a little bit different compared to the tech suit one. So we do get the smaller web right here, and this one, all you do is just unpeg one of his hands and then slide that on, and then you would just peg the hand over that, and then same thing goes with the longer one here as well. And I'm really not a fan of the translucent plastic webbing. I think it looks better when it's like painted white and then has like a little bit of a gray shading in it. I think it looks better that way, but I mean, they look pretty cool though. So we do get those 2, and then we do get the longest one here that has like a little thing to grab onto, which one of his hands is a web gripping hand, which we'll get into shortly, but the web looks pretty cool. So we do get those 3 webs. And then finally we get 12 interchangeable hands, and they're pretty much the same exact hands that we got with the tech suit Spider-Man. There's just some added sculpt work on these hands here. So we do get a pair of fists, of course, which come on the figure out of the packaging, and beautiful sculpt all throughout these. I love how you can see the web shooter on the palm right there. Very nice sculpt and paint on that, and clean paint work where the red meets the black as well. The only issue I noticed with my hands on my figure is I do see a lot of like paint spots and spots where that color paint shouldn't be, some paint bleeding, but it might just be with my figure, or other people might have that same issue as well. But other than that, they did do a very nice job on all the interchangeable hands. So we do get a pair of fists, and all his hands are fairly simple to interchange since they are like a softer rubbery type plastic. Then we do get the web gripping hand here, which is for that longer web. And pretty good sculpt and paint on this one as well. I just love the way the web shooters look. Very cool looking. So we do get a pair of those. And then we do get a pair of like totally dude hands. I don't even remember him doing this in the movie. I could be wrong though. But nice sculpt and paint on these. Like, see on the pinky right there, you see some black paint on the skin tone and stuff. And again on the thumb. See what I mean? A little bit of sloppy paintwork here and there on the hands. Then we do get some whipping hands, of course. Nice sculpt and paint. Looks like the skin tone could have added, they could have added another layer of the skin tone color there. But nice sculpt and paint on those. And then we also get some resting open hands here. Very good job with these. And then finally we get some wall crawling hands, or more open type hands, and nice sculpt and paint on these as well. But anyway, that's all the accessories included with Spider-Man. Let's keep moving on with the rest of the review, shall we? Now for the height of Peter Parker. To the top of his head, it looks like he stands a little bit over 5.5 inches tall. And then here he is compared to the SH Figuarts Civil War Captain America, the Mark V Iron Man, the Tech Suit Homecoming Spider-Man, and the Civil War Ant-Man. And then here he is compared to the SH Figuarts Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord and Baby Groot, the Mezco 112 Tiger Stripe Wolverine, the Good Smile Company Figma Deadpool, and the Avengers Hulk. And then here he is compared to the SH Figuarts Awakened Warrior Super Saiyan Goku and the Mezco 112 Deadpool. Anyway, there's some quick comparisons. Let's keep moving on with the rest of the review. So now for the articulation, we do get some pretty good movement with this Spider-Man, but definitely not as good articulation as the tech suit Spider-Man figure. So we do have 2 joints at the neck. The upper neck joint, you could get Spider-Man to look up only that much, and then he does look down that much, so really not the best up and down movement at the upper neck there. We do get some decent pivot up there. I think we get much better movement at the lower neck, and then it does swivel as well. If you have the hood on, it does hinder a little bit of the articulation. The lower neck goes forward a lot, so definitely nice movement there, and you can pretty much get him to look all the way down and going back. It goes back a little bit, so you can get him to look up a little bit more. Wish he could look up a little more than that, though, and then we do get a really nice pivot at the lower neck, and then of course it does swivel, so better movement at the lower neck compared to the upper neck joint. Now for the torso here, we do have a point of articulation around the abdomen, like right above it, and he does crunch forward a pretty good amount with that joint. Those go back a lot, but you do see a little bit of a gap there, so you might want to hide that. And then we do get a little bit of pivot, not much. My joint seems like it's tight. I feel like it could go more, but my joint's pretty tight on my figure. Then we do get swivel. Now for the waist here, it goes forward a really good amount, but look at that. It's like, holy crap. This piece right here is supposed to cover that. So if you're going to have them go forward that much, it's going to show that huge gap right there because this piece isn't there to cover that. So you just have to be careful of that, but he can bend forward a little more than 90 degrees actually, so that is definitely really good. And both joints going back, he goes back about that much, but remember the gap at the torso right there. We do, I believe we get pivot there. Yeah, we do get a little bit of pivot at the waist. Seems better than the torso, and then it does slightly swivel. So decent movement, well, really good movement at the waist. The torso isn't as good. Now for the arms here, we do have a butterfly joint, so you can get his arms to crisscross. I was about to sing that. Jump, jump. Alright, shut up, Sean. And then we do get a nice shoulder joint with a circular motion out of the shoulder there, so I do like that point of articulation. This joint feels a little loose on mine. I don't know if it's just with my figure or with everybody's figure, but I don't like that it is a little too loose. That's how it feels to me. And then the arms do go out to the sides about 90 degrees. They do go up and down. Disappointing thing here, no bicep swivel at all, which I don't know why with human figures they don't like to add bicep swivel, and they could have worked it in perfectly with how the sleeves are a little baggy. So I don't know why they don't add in bicep swivel on some of these figures. Now we do have a double jointed elbow that pretty much bends in all the way, and then you don't really get any swivel at all where the elbow joint connects into the bicep. Where it connects into the forearm, it can swivel a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's just tight in the bicep and I can't get it to swivel. You know, it looks like it does a tiny bit, but since there is no bicep swivel, I would have figured we would have got some nice swivel around the elbow joint there, which is what they've been doing. The web shooters, you can swivel them around, and we do have a ball hinge on the wrist, so it does swivel and hinges back and forth. And my left wrist joint is really loose. The right one isn't loose at all. I don't know why my left one is really loose. And just be careful with your figure, because I did see somebody post a picture with their wrist joint breaking on their homemade suit Spider-Man figure. So just be careful with your wrist joints. Now for the legs here, Peter Parker can kick forward about 90 degrees. And this is what I don't like. They don't go back at all. I really don't like when you can't move the legs back at least a little bit, you know what I mean? And then his legs doing the splits, almost 90 degrees, so that's definitely good. We do have the upper thigh swivel. We do have double jointed knees that bend back pretty much all the way. And then for the ankles here, we get some great articulation, so it does swivel, hinges up a really good amount, same with hinging down, and then we get pretty much a 90-degree bend ankle pivot, which is awesome. And then we do have a pretty good toe hinge. So overall, we do get some decent articulation with the Spider-Man. Some points aren't as good as others, but you're going to be able to get them in some decent Spider-Man-like poses, but you won't be able to like how you did with the tech suit Spider-Man. And I'm about to show you some of those poses right about now. But anyway, that is my review of the SH Figuarts Homecoming Spider-Man homemade suit. Hope you enjoyed it. If I had to rate this figure between a 1 through 10, I'd have to give it an even 8. If you would like to know the price and where to buy this figure, I did have mine imported from Japan from Anime Export because it is a web exclusive, but I know my buddy from Agelessgeeks did just get this in stock. Not sure if he's going to have it on the website, but I know he will definitely have it at his booth at Frank & Sons. And don't forget, if you ever do buy something from Agelessgeeks.com, to enter in codename Daredevil, and you will get yourself a 5% off discount. I will put more information in the description below. And if you would like to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, just give it a thumbs up anyway, because action figures are awesome. But thanks for watching. I will see you later. The Spider-Man homemade suit version, Spider-Man and probably Chubby-Boo. Damn it! The tech suit, homecoming Spider-Man, and the we pretty much get the same type of stuff that we get with this Spider-Man that we got with the homemade, or whoops, I meant the tech suit one. Damn yeah! 12 interchangeable hands, and so now for the articulation and how would you I think they did a good job adding that, and you can even see what I mean. That's all, folks.